All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about what is one of the most important theoretical concepts in all of music, which is the cycle or circle of fourths and fifths. So I'm going to explain this to you in a really simplistic way, and you'll be able to explain it to other people. Okay, let's get to it. All right, so ultimately, being able to navigate and understand the cycle of fourths and fifths. By the way, I'm going to use cycle and circle interchangeably, means exactly the same thing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have here this circle of fourths. You can either move up by a perfect fourth or you can ascend by 5 semitones. So if we look at C to F, this is simply the order by which we add flats, where C would have no flats, F has 1, B flat 2, E flat 3, so on and so forth until we get to C flat, which has 7 flats. At this point, we want to use our enharmonic spelling and call that a B natural, which has 5 sharps. Remember, adding a flat cancels a sharp. So we go from 5 sharps to 4 sharps with the key of E, 3 sharps with the key of A, 2 with D, 1 with G, and then back to 0 with C. If we think about keeping the same type of perfect fourth ascension, then technically that E could be called an F flat. And to a certain degree, there is a logic to actually using F flat. If you play an alto saxophone, F flat is going to transpose to D flat. E is going to transpose to C sharp. And maybe you don't want your alto player to play with 7 sharps. So 5 flats is a little easier to negotiate than 7 sharps. Sometimes, a lot of modern music notation programs, they pretty much just automatically fix this and get you out of dealing with F flat. You do wind up with a B double flat, but really it's just your E major scale, which is just far easier to negotiate than 6 flats with a double flat. Okay, basically if you do this backwards with G and you run this through the cycle of fifths, which is 7 semitones, you wind up doing the same thing, but you wind up with an order of sharps instead of flats. And adding a sharp cancels a flat. It's pretty much the inverse, but for the sake of time and simplicity, I'm going to focus mainly on the circle of fourths. Okay, let's move on. I want to take you through the modes of the major scale simply by starting with the cycle of fourths. So in this case, let's start with Lydian mode. So with Lydian in the key of C, we have an F sharp. Adding a flat cancels a sharp. So we go from Lydian mode to Ionian mode. We add our first flat, which is B flat. We got Mixolydian. Then we go up a perfect fourth, adding that E flat. Now we have Dorian, up a fourth to A flat. We have Aeolian. Then to D flat. Now we have Phrygian. And then we add our G flat, which gives us Locrian. A lot of people don't really teach this way, but it's very interesting that you can derive music theory, the modes of a major scale, simply through understanding the cycle of fourths. Okay, I'm going to talk about the cycle of fourths a little bit more now, because the cycle of fourths doesn't just imply a key change. It usually mostly implies the movement of the bass. So if you have your standard type of Bach progression that's similar to Autumn Leaves, I'm going to pick on Autumn Leaves has that similar type of Bach progression that we're all familiar with. The bass movement is moving in fourths. Not too long ago, I did a video on the blues. You guys can check that out here, wherever. I'll also post a link in the description. But when I'm talking about the blues, adding dominant 7 feels to something that's major, we are lowering against a standard. And to me, I think it works because we are inherently used to hearing more fourth movement through a bass progression, and we're used to hearing this gradual lowering against the standard anyway. It's one of the reasons why I think blues and pop music works, because often we're lowering against the standard. Like if I'm in the key of C and you hear a C major, I can play something like this and it still works. Okay, because that fourth progression is so strongly implying lowering against the standard, when we do that with blues and pop music and funk and all these notes that are lowered, like the flat 7 and the minor third against major stuff, it works. Moving in fifths is just weird, and you don't really see it that often. Okay, there's an interesting theory about how the cycle of fourths relate to the blues. And when you think about it, when we are playing the blues and pop music in dominant 7ths, we are lowering against a standard. So if we can so heavily ingrain the key changes through the cycle of fourths with the lowering against the standard, it starts to make sense. I mean, you think about what makes a blues scale happening, right? You got the lowered 7th, you got the lowered 3rd. So you think about it, you got from the key of C to F, you got a B flat, which is a flat 7th, and then you go again, then you got an E flat, that's the next one, up through fourths, which is your E flat, that's your sharp 9 or your lowered 3rd. So we're still lowering against this standard. Okay, I mean, it gets a little funny when you get to the flat 5. So I'm gonna do this in G minor. I'm gonna use this Bach style progression, or autumn leaves basically, and it just sounds like the entire thing is just resolving down to the G minor. Even though we're still just in the key of G minor, it just has this very strong pull to do that. How to add and subtract sharps and flats. Now, being a saxophone player, I'm very often called upon to transpose, either from concert or from tenor to alto saxophone. So let's look at it like this. If I'm going from tenor saxophone and I want to match concert, I'm going from a B flat instrument and I have to match a C instrument. So how do I get 2 flats to become 2 naturals? Well, we do this by adding 2 sharps. So I don't call E flat and B flat E sharp and B sharp. No, the sharp cancels the flat and a flat will cancel the sharp. So if I add a flat to the key of G major, now I have an F natural, not an F flat. All right, very important. So when you're reading music and you're transposing, first thing you want to do when you're transposing is transpose the key signature. If you are a bari sax player and you have to read bass clef, you better understand this, or you are going to play a lot of wrong notes. They're going to look like they're right, but they are going to be very, very wrong. So if I am in the key of B flat and I want to play something that's in the key of C, I need to turn those B flats and E flats into naturals. If I'm in the key of C and I add 2 sharps, now I'm in the key of D. So I got an F sharp and a C sharp. If I'm in the key of D and I add 2 sharps, now I'm in the key of E, which has 4 sharps. If I'm in the key of E flat and I add 2 sharps, now I'm in the key of F. Now I just have 1 flat. This is the common terminology when you're talking about adding flats and adding sharps. You never talk about subtracting flats or subtracting sharps. I've never heard that. It's either add a flat or you add a sharp. You get the same thing anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you for now. But next up, hopefully I should have this silver-plated $20 mouthpiece back from my guy who should have sent it off to Anderson Silver Plating. I should have it back within the next few days. Hopefully by the time you guys watch this video, I'll have that for you guys. So, all right, I also have some TikTok stuff, Snapchat, Instagram. I'm like really expanding. I'm opening up my a different Facebook account that you guys can contact me through there instead of my regular Facebook account, because I know that some of you have been trying to look me up there. So, all right, be ready for some weird stuff, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm having way too much fun with these Snapchat apps and filters and whatnot. Okay, that's all I got for you. See ya.